Good morning. We're very privileged today, very privileged to welcome Stephen Barclay to the British schools. Stephen comes to us from the United States with a remit to introduce the concept and skills involved in a coaching relationship. Stephen Barclay is Executive Vice President of Performance Learning Systems, internationally recognised as a facilitator of change in schools and in educational systems. Well known in the United States for guiding schools, what are called school districts in the United States, through the process of school improvement, through coaching, mentoring, and the creation of professional learning communities. Today and tomorrow we have the opportunity to learn from a real authority in the field. It's a great pleasure to welcome Stephen Barclay to the British Schools.
I want to start out by putting two of my philosophy statements out in front of you. Two statements that drive the work that I do. Okay? And the first one is this: teaching is a team sport. Teaching is a team sport. So the days of a person being a standalone, outstanding teacher and achieving what they needed to achieve, I believe, have ended. And what teachers are being asked to accomplish with students today cannot be accomplished working in isolation. So that's why I describe it as a team sport. Grade 8 students will not hit the reading levels they need to hit unless science and history teachers are teaching reading as part of science and history. A science teacher is unlikely at those middle grade levels. The science teacher is unlikely to achieve their science goals if from time to time kids aren't using part of their reading experience to be reading science material. So I need the teachers to team that way. So from my vantage point, teachers have to continually come together and be focused on what they accomplish as a team. The second overarching belief that connects with that is this: teaching must be a public act. Teaching must be a public act. Historically, teaching has been an activity that has taken place behind closed doors. There's a new movement in the States that's called High Tech High. The original High Tech High was a high school built out in San Diego, California. It's spread now. I think there's maybe 12 or 15 of them across the country. When they build the High Tech High, the hallway walls are glass because they want students to see exciting things going on in classrooms and saying, I want to take that class. Now, why am I saying teaching has to be a public act? I'm saying that because of my first statement. Teaching has to be a team sport. A team requires trust. So I would ask you to look around this room, and if you were to trust your colleagues in this room, which is critical for you to work effectively as a team, I don't see how you can establish trust if people work behind closed doors. The art teacher decides that she's going to take the students on a field trip. While they are gone, they will miss your class. Is that a good use of their time? Well, unless you've seen that art teacher work with the students, unless you've had a chance to look at that program and know what kids are doing, that's a tough decision for you to trust as a member of a team. So, 2 overarching beliefs here. 1, teaching is a team sport. 2, teaching should be a public act. I wrote my first book on this called Quality Teaching and a Culture of Coaching. It has the same title as I gave to our workshop here. And in that book, Quality Teaching and a Culture of Coaching, I embedded 2 beliefs. Belief number 1, in the ideal, no one would go more than a week without being observed and getting feedback. So in the ideal structure, at least once a week, I would be in a setting where I was getting feedback on my work as a teacher. That means a colleague could have been in my classroom, an administrator could have been in my classroom. It means I may have taken a video clip to my grade level meeting, and I showed my colleagues a 10-minute clip. The second one that has to go along with the first one. The most highly skilled and professional teachers get the most coaching. So the more that you have advanced in your career, the more frequently people would be in your classroom providing you with feedback. In most places that I work, the reverse of that is true. So if I'm a new teacher and you've been teaching 12 years, people will spend much more time in the new teacher's classroom than they spend in the 12-year veteran teacher's classroom. I'm suggesting that needs to be flipped. That 12-year veteran teacher should be observed and get feedback much more often than the beginning teacher. Now, in many places, the assumption is that the coach is helping the person that they're coaching. The reality is, when you're working as a coach, you are frequently learning as the coach. So one of the reasons you want your best teachers being coached is that the people who are doing the coaching are doing the learning. If I were to talk to your administrators, I frequently ask an administrator, if you were to return to the classroom tomorrow, any chance that you'd be a stronger teacher than when you left teaching and went into administration? And most administrators tell me yes. And I say, why? They say, I've been watching great teachers for years. And then I suggest, isn't it kind of strange what we do? We go up to a person and do this. Congratulations. We're going to make you a principal. You won't be teaching anymore. Now we're going to build time into your schedule to go watch teachers and learn. Isn't that kind of strange? I suggest administrators might better spend their time covering teachers' classrooms and sending the teachers out to do the observation. Because when an administrator watches a great teacher and then tries to tell other people what the great teacher is doing, it tends to lose something in the translation. Now, here's another trust problem. Once we find out we have great teachers, then we tell other teachers to go watch them, it creates the wrong culture. See, we tend to do this in a school. Hi, you're having lots of trouble in your classroom. Fortunately for you, we have Miss Great working here in our school. I'm going to give you time to go watch Miss Great work. Can you all see this teacher on her way down the hall? Within 2 minutes, she finds a misspelled word in a handout. I don't know what makes this so great. It's a total waste of time. Now, Now, notice what happens instead when the teacher who is known for having a great reputation as a teacher comes down to see the struggling teacher. And she says to the struggling teacher, I'm working to get more student discussion during mathematics in my classroom. I'm looking for as many people as possible who could come to my class and just write down student conversations. 10 or 15 minutes, it would be helpful. Could you help me? And now the same teacher goes, sure. Now do you see her on her way down the hall? A colleague stops. Where are you going? Oh, Miss Great's having a little difficulty. She asked me to do you see the difference? It totally changes the mindset of this teacher. Now, this teacher's in the classroom. She has a form that you made up for her to fill out. Okay? When I present the math problem to the kids and the students are sitting in pairs, you just write down, where was the pair and what did you hear them say? And she's walking around the classroom doing this, and suddenly she says, that's neat the way she handled that disruptive student. Because now she's there in an open mindset. So you really nailed it when you said that trust. Why should the most highly skilled people get the most coaching? And for this one, we can go over to the PE department, or where's my art and music folks? Where's art and music? Okay? You can go either to those folks or the PE department. The more highly skilled a person becomes, the more coaching they get. So if you visit a professional soccer team, they have many more coaches than the grade level kids who are starting. If you're a tennis player, the top ranked tennis player, one player has 6 or 8 coaches because their game is that complicated. Musicians are going to have single teachers when they get up okay? So I'm not going to coach a whole class of 20. I'm coaching one person. Why? Because the work they do is extremely complicated.